Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 80 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. How's it going? I'm currently rebuilding my rituals. So I've just upgraded the Direwolf20 pack to version 1.8.0, which is the latest version of the Direwolf20 pack as of the time of this recording. And during that update, we got a new version of Astral Sorcery, which, according to the mod author, fixes the whole ritual not working thing. So I'm realigning my crystals here, because as you recall, rituals would stop working. It looked like if the player switched dimensions, I think. So now it should be fixed, and that should no longer be a thing. So I'm realigning. I already did the one on top of my temple, and I'm just realigning the stuff here. You can see we just, hit 4 out of 5 here. We've got the constellation thing showing up. Cool. Nice. Now we're talking. Booyah. Look at that. All kinds of awesome powers. And if we take a look, I should be able to remove nether stars from here. And withers start spawning. Cool. Couple withers later, and we should see them start to die now. Go withers go. Yeah. Oh wow. Wow. Okay, cool. Wow. Neat. Whew, look at them die really quickly. I think another change you might have made to this ritual, the way it worked was when you augmented it with lenses, it would do damage more quickly. But behind the scenes in Minecraft, there's a limit to how frequently monsters can take damage. I don't know if you never noticed this, but that's the reason you can't spam swords. They can only take damage every so often, and they won't take any more damage than over that period of time. So I'm guessing what he did is he made it so that the lens also caused more damage to the monster. So having a really strong Celestial Collector Crystal and a really strong Attuned Crystal and all these lenses does a good job of killing the Wither. Okie dokie then. That is cool. So Astral Sorcery definitely got an update. I don't think there's anything new, but it's worth taking a peek. Let's see. Where's the one that has the things and stuff? Is it Radiance? Is that the end game one? I think so. Yeah, I don't see anything too new in there. Neuromantic Prime. Is that new? I think so, because we never did the fountain thing. We might get to that at some point. Yeah, I think that thing was there for. I'm not going to do that now, though. What I decided to do this episode is, now that we're getting into more power production, I think we should look into more power storage and more and better power transfer. With said things in mind, I feel like it's probably about time to get into, pause for effect, Draconic Evolution. Probably not a bad time to start looking at this. So Draconic Evolution has all kinds of really powerful, some would call them overpowered, some would probably be correct, items and blocks that do some really cool stuff. So we're going to play with some of the things that Astral Sorcery, Draconic Evolution has to offer for us. So yeah, lots of ridiculous things that can sometimes come about through playing with this mod. So let's get into it. So there's some really cool things you can actually do. And I might want to play with some of these cool things throughout the series. But to get started, one of the things we're going to want to get, so there's a few things I'm going to want to get here. One thing I'd like to look into making is energy relay crystals. So there's 3 tiers, the blue, the purple, and the orange, and that's basically the 3 tiers of energy crystals. They can transfer energy via laser system, which is really cool looking, and transfers really large number, like a ton of energy, like huge amounts of energy. So getting that set up in our base might not be the worst idea in the world. So we might look at doing that and deciding where and how that's going to work out. Another thing Draconic Evolution brings us is the Draconic Energy Orb, which is a giant multi-block structure for storing power. And you can store large amounts of power with it. Of course, because I updated the pack, I'm in that weird, funny mode where it yells at me for not having cheat mode on, even though I'm just looking up a recipe. So Draconic Evolution comes with a tablet, so that's cool. Spotlights by Direwolf20. Woot. These are a little out of date. Pretty much everything in the spotlights I think is still accurate, but there might be a few things not covered. But that said, there's Draconium and Awakened Draconium and Power Cores and Wyvern tools and Draconic tools and armor and energy shield and fusion crafting, which is a crafting process we're definitely going to have to get into, and lots of other things. And I'd like to automate the crafting process if we can in a pretty smart way. It looks like the stabilized spawner is back, which is cool, and mob souls are here. We already played with the celestial manipulator, and we already looked at the entity detector as well a little bit, and potentiometers have also been looked at. Ender energy manipulator, I don't think we've touched that yet this series, but lots of other cool things to look at. Wyvern armor is super overpowered and broken, but it's fun to play with, so that's cool too. But let's first look at energy storage cores, because that's one of the other things we're going to want to get. So I think what we should focus on today is getting the basics of Draconic Evolution up and running, and then you guys will have that for the world download for episode 80, and then we'll come back and we'll focus on Draconic Evolution for the next few episodes in terms of rebuilding our base's power distribution network a little bit. So instead of having energy conduits, we'll use the lasers, and instead of having a single cell that can only accept 25 million RF a tick, we'll get a Draconic Energy Core that can accept way more power. Cool? So let's start thinking conceptually. That sounds like a good idea, right? So I'm thinking this. We've got this nifty big reactor here that produces all kinds of awesome amounts of energy. We've got this setup over here. At this point, the question is, should we just get rid of all these things and go strictly power, like large power production at this point, right? Like we could just simply have the big reactor or the extreme reactor running at all times for powering up our base and not worry about all these other things, which have, in fairness, lasted. It's episode 80 and my base has been powered by syngas since episode 10, and it's been doing a great job. I love it. Syngas is great, don't get me wrong. But if I'm going to like rewire and rebuild everything, like, I don't know if I need it. I mean, it won't hurt, obviously, but it may not totally be necessary. So, like, I'm just conceptually thinking about how I'm going to run my power systems. What I was kind of thinking would be cool, and I kind of aligned for this already, was if we had now I didn't actually plan to have when I did this the astral sorcery thingy up here that protects my base, right? Let's take a look at this. So my original plan when I built this pyramid was to place the Draconic Orb at the top here. Now whether or not I want to still do that. So then the question becomes, do I want to relocate this mob prevention structure? And I could just go put it, down here, which is close enough to my base that it'll still prevent mobs from spawning anywhere nearby, just, and not be on top of the pyramid anymore. That kind of feels like the right move to me. And then I can put the Draconic Orb on top of the pyramid, and then my concept is that we will have energy lasers running throughout the base through these 4 glass doohickeys, right? So these 4 glass things could basically have energy lasers. So we could have like an energy laser at the center point here distributing power straight down through these like lines, and you basically have energy beams going throughout the base, powering different like blocks and stuff. Does that sound cool? And we could have like 2 that are energy inputs, so like 2 that are sending energy up to the orb and 2 that are sending energy down into the base, and distributing power throughout the entire base like that. Does that sound like kind of a cool concept? I think maybe. And obviously we'll eventually need to like get rid of all this conduiting and stuff, which wouldn't be too bad. It would probably be a good thing, but we'll just have to make sure that we conceptually understand what we're doing. So if we're going to rewire things, right, like we'll definitely want power to come out of this extreme reactor in a way that makes sense and beams its way up into the orb that's going to live on top of my base. So let's start prepping that. So what I think I'll do first is relocate this ritual, which is supposed, I think is working now. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but I think we should see no more mob spawns anywhere near our base, which is cool. So let's move this thing. So I'm going to just pick all this stuff up. And then we'll work on our Draconic Orb. So let me do this off camera, and then we'll come back for probably Draconic Orb setup. Okay, just in time for night, we are getting this ritual back up and running. So in theory, this should be cool. And the last beam coming out right about here, it looks like. Cool. There we go. Nice. All right. And now we've got the yellow particle effects there. Just so cool looking. I tried to kind of center it with that thing, and I think it looks good there, which is nice. And then we can come over here and rebuild our pyramid right here in sand mode, because I was building over there. So let me get this rebuilt. All right. So, bing, that has our pyramid back to a pyramid-y shape. And what we're going to do is build, basically, probably like right about here. And I might relocate you just for conceptual reasons. You can chill maybe up here. That sounds like a nice place, right? Yeah, you can see the stars. Up here might be where we build our orb. Now, the way the orb works is pretty cool. So you need a couple things. First off, you need energy pylons. These go above and below the orb. And that's what's going to control power coming in and out of the orb. Okay. Then you need energy core stabilizers, which go around the orb, and then you need the orb itself. So the orb itself is built using basically energy cores, which you'll need one of those. It goes in the very center, and you surround it with draconium blocks and redstone blocks. And there's 8 tiers of this thing, right? Tier 1 is small and stores very little power, and tier 2 is bigger and stores more, and 3 is bigger and stores more, and 4. So like the higher the tier, the more power you need. And once you go beyond tier 4, you need more energy core stabilizers. So I haven't entirely decided which tier I want to jump for right now. Usually I don't bother with tier 8. It's really expensive, and you need a lot of awakened draconium for that, which is really, really expensive. You need to kill dragons to get awakened draconium, and we will automate, or maybe not automate, but at least get to that point at some point. But then, so in order to do that, let's see, where's the part? Stabilizers, energy pylons. So let's see. We want to go back to here. So basically, tier 1 stores almost 50 million RF. So not even as good as like your energy cell, right? But tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, you can see you start getting into really large numbers. So if we went up to tier 7, we'd be storing over 2 trillion RF. And tier 8 is pretty much infinite. Like, trust me, it really is almost infinite. It will take you, it's not actually infinite, but it's really big. So if you want to click that link, you can see what the big number is. Let's just see what we need to get. So if we wanted to get from Draconic, we're going to need an energy pylon. I just want to make sure I don't need to infusion craft this recipe. So we want the energy pylon, which is where? So I need the energy core. So that's one of those. So I don't need fusion crafting for that. That's all regular crafting stuff. And let's see, what else are we gonna need? Stabilizers? Yeah, that's not. So I don't need fusion for any of that. So that's good. So let's get some of this stuff taught here. So let's start with a tier 4, maybe? And then we can upgrade this guy to like a tier 7 or 8 later in the series. Does that sound good? So if we're gonna do that, then what we're going to need for a tier 4 energy core is an energy core, 4 stabilizers, 54 draconium blocks, and 26 redstone blocks. So what's our draconium situation? We've got a lot of dust that we should probably run through some kind of... So I always get like a little... What's dust used for? You need it for that, and you need it for that. You use dust for a few things, and it always gets annoying because like I automate the smelting of dust, and then... whenever I want to craft with dust, like it auto smelts, and it's really annoying. But let's pop into here real quick. So you're, I don't really have anything set up to just smelt. So you know what I'll do is, let's pop out of here. And we'll set up, you know what, let's try something. Where's that furnace? From extra utilities. Out of curiosity, how silly can I get with speed upgrades on this guy. So this is the magical tier speed upgrade. Was there a better one from extra utilities? So there's regular speed upgrade, and there's that magical speed upgrade, and there's ultimate speed upgrade. All right, that needs more stuff. Max upgrade 64. Drops of evil, huh? I mean, we have 80 of those, but not quite as many as you would think we're going to need if we want 64 of them. Yeah. So I might just... What I'll do is I'll just run a bunch through the redstone furnace, probably. That sounds fair. So for now, this will do. We might come up with a better solution later. So one of the things we're going to have to learn how to make is Wyvern energy cores. We're going to need probably a healthy amount of these things at some point. And I'm assuming we already have redstone blocks as a craft, right? Well, I mean, we have a bunch of redstone blocks anyway because of the way we're processing redstone, so that's kind of good. So if we asked for a couple of these now, that shouldn't be a problem. And we should now be able to make energy cores. Sweet. So we need 2 of these, right? One for power input and one for power output. So we're going to get 2 of those bad boys. And then we're going to need the, or actually no, we need, wait, energy core? Yes, maybe just one of those. Energy pylon is what we need 2 of, my bad. Okay, no big deal. We just got an extra energy core, won't hurt. Energy pylon, they look the same. Killing me. Killing me, Smalls. Energy pylons you get 2 of per craft, so that's at least nice. And then energy core, these guys, I should probably teach this thing's recipe. So let's do that. You and you should be taught, because we're going to want 4 of them for now, but eventually we're going to need 36. So probably a smart thing to teach. Cool. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, that should be pretty much everything we need to get our basic setup with a Draconic Energy Core going. However, we decided we're going to do tier 4, right? So that is going to require 54 Draconium blocks and 26 redstone blocks. So that shouldn't be too bad. And Draconium blocks, we want 54 of roughly. Cool. So there's your 54, and we're just going to convert that back to regular Draconium. Tier 4, like I said, can store quite a lot of power. So Tier 4 power is going to store almost 10 billion RF, which is a far cry bit more than we currently have in our storage capacity, which is 50 million, right? So way more power. Will we ever need Tier 7? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I rarely ever see the need to have more power than that. But, you know, you do you. Plenty of people are like, yeah, I like having, you know, huge amounts of power. Okay, that's cool. If you wanna make a tier 7, that's cool. Will we get to a point where we're gonna have a tier 7 in this series? I don't know. So the way this works is pretty straightforward. It's a multi-block. You can add the build. You can set up the build guide so you can activate it, right? And you'll notice that currently it's set to tier 1. So because we want a tier 4, we're going to bump it up to tier 4. And you'll notice that as we get close to this block and back away from it, it's going to show us how to build a tier 4. So tier 4, not particularly large. I could maybe bring this down a little bit more, but I don't know. It seems. Maybe we'll bring it down a little bit. So let's turn off the build guide, and maybe we'll put you just down 1 block. And by 1 block, I mean 2 blocks. So tier 4 will look like this. And then, you know, that's not terrible. And then if I ever did decide to go to tier 7, it might not be easy to do, right? Let's just, for the sake of argument, and that's red, by the way, because of the build guide. Let's see what a tier 7 would look like here, just in case we decide that we do want to do that. That's what a tier 7 orb would look like. I rarely bother with tier 8 because it is insanely, stupidly expensive and really not necessary at all, unless you just want to, like, it's for fun. It's literally a for fun project. So that's, if we decide to eventually go tier 7, that's what it'll look like. All right, let's do that. Here's a good place. So tier 4. Basically, we surround this guy with 1 layer of redstone blocks, right? So basically 1, 2, 3, 4. And having a builder's wand is not the worst thing in the world here, by the way. Just make sure you're in the proper mode. And then it's basically surround all sides with draconium. Cool. And by the way, if you place the wrong block, you'll see it. See? Wrong block placed. Got it? Good. And those of you who have seen my series before have probably seen me make this once or twice before. And that's, you know, obviously a thing. Cool. Now you're probably wondering, how do we interact with this block now? Because it's inside a bunch of other blocks. Well, luckily there's a really simple solution. You can place down your energy core stabilizers. And energy core stabilizers, you want to be kind of in a straight line with the energy core itself. And now you can interact with it courtesy of the energy core stabilizer. You'll notice that the core is valid. It's no longer complaining like it was about missing blocks. It's now saying this is a valid tier 4 core. It's an invalid tier 3, but it's a valid tier 4. But the stabilizers are invalid because we need basically 4 of them. So I'm going to have about 3 blocks away from this thing is where my stabilizers will be. And again, they have to be in line with the center block. Cool. Now, everything's valid. So let's activate it. You guys ready to turn this thing on? Boom. We have an energy core. Sweet. Very cool looking. Very fancy. Love it. Looks great. Now let's put our energy pylons in. So energy pylons are neat. The way they work, and I always mix this one up a little bit, but you need a piece of glass, and I think the glass... Why are there mobs spawning? Mobs, please. What is up? You're on. Why are you spawning monsters? You should be fixed. I mean, to be fair, it's not the greatest crystal in the world, attuned to Lucerna, but you know, we've got. Maybe I'll make a better Lucuna attunement because that should really be preventing mob spawns. Wah wah wah. So basically, you place a piece of glass closer to the orb. Okay, so when you do that, the glass turns into this thing, and then you can right-click the orb itself that gets created by that piece of glass to specify whether it's power input, which is this, or power output, which is this. So we can have power coming in and power going out. Does that sound cool? It should, because it is. Yeah, that's what's up. Come on, husks, zombies. I don't have time for you guys. I'm explaining complex mechanics. So that was the glass piece was 1, 2, 3 away from the orb. So what I'm going to do then is place 3, and then we'll have our glass and our energy pylon. And we might need to place the glass after the energy pylon. So let's get another piece of glass. We have unlimited glass, so, you know, that's a thing we don't have to worry about. So I'm thinking we might want, how do we want power flow here? How about out from the bottom and in from the top? Does that sound cool? Now, the only annoyance with the orb being outside the pyramid like this is that power has to kind of flow up and then back down. So from a kind of conceptual point of view, that's a little bit funky, but it's fine. But yeah, I like the idea of power coming out of here, and then we'll do power going in here. I just have to figure out how I'm going to transmit power from, like, I would say I could do it wirelessly, but I really can't. There's no good wireless mechanic for transferring that much power. So I need to figure out how to, in a way that looks cool, transmit power from our, extreme reactor into that orb. So let me think about how that's going to work. So power coming from the orb into the base, easy. Power coming from the the base into the orb, less easy. So here's a pretty good celestial crystal. I might tune you to Lucerna. We'll see. Because I kind of want to try making this a better crystal on the altar, and maybe that'll help. I don't know. Alright, let's see how that does. I just made it midnight the next night because I needed Lucerna to be in the sky. And we'll stick you in there. So we're basically getting a better collector crystal. Sorry, I really wanted to make sure this whole mob spawning thing works properly. Did I potentially just destroy that collector crystal? With that explosion? I wouldn't think so. You think that happened? It might have happened. Alright, so out of curiosity, what would happen if... Do I still have some of this? Yeah, I'm sure I have some. I just need to get it. We got some of this and put it here. So that you're in line with this guy. So that would be these corners would be the ones to get this thing. I mean, technically that means that we don't really need these light sources here anymore, right? That'll clear them away. Cool. So we could beam energy up. So I might do the same here, where you'll get this. Tell me what you guys think of that, right? And then energy can pretty much come up. I might want even more of it. Oh, that's right. I don't have a thingy there. I should have a thingy there. I really should. Elevator. Like, it's nice having it where it is, but having another one would never hurt. So, here. And technically, I should have another one underneath that, even. But then we could have another energy beam. So, like, these glowing glass blocks will have a dual purpose. One, generating light and keeping the lit area downstairs. But then two, yeah, I like that. So I kind of want to have... That should be cool. Right? And then I want to have this lined up properly too. Just so I can have another elevator ready for here. That's right. You are my elevator. No, that's wrong. This is my elevator. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, cool. So that works. So what we'll have then is basically that. Now, am I correct in my guessings that this is... No, I was wrong. One, two, 1, 2. This should be where it is. Yes. Perfect. And this can kind of serve as our routing of power. Does that sound neat? I'm gonna have to clean up a little bit in there. Like, I'd like that to be sandstone so that it looks all sandstone-y through the glass. But otherwise, that's cool. Now, what I could have, in theory, is let's get a little bit more of this glass, because I'm using more than I expected I would. But we could have these energy beams coming up from underneath this flooring. I might need to be a little bit less touchy with it, but we'll see. So under here, let's go into Forest Raven mode. So like maybe this line here can come from this guy, right? So what we'll have is basically and I'll sandstone this up so that it looks cool too. So a big part of this build is making sure that we keep like a cool looking theme, right? And that was totally a block that I didn't want to replace. Okay, cool. Excellent. You there, that's good. So you're running, that's the power transfer guy. Perfect. Nice. You're on? Yeah, cool. And you just turned off. So this should work. This should, in theory, definitely work. So I don't want to completely wreck stuff yet. But let's get a rough start. So the next thing we want to get into from Draconic are these guys, basic energy relays. So they're not too hard to make, luckily. And there's a higher tier version of them that we can totally look at making as well. There's the Wyvern tier, but we're going to hold off on that right now. We don't necessarily need that at this point. Eventually, maybe. Right now, no. The other one we want is basic wireless, which is a really cool thing. That we'll definitely be playing with. But for now, I really only want to start filling up the orb with power. So let's get like 2 of these. And now we've got some basic relays. Let's get like 10 of those. Cool. And then also from this, we are going to need a way to bind these. So let's... Where's this thing? This thing, crystal binder, you. Cool. That guy is what we use to bind our crystals. So let's get ready for this. So let's try this out and see how it works. So basically, let's pretend that you're here. So eventually what's going to actually be the case is we're going to hook this energy IO crystal directly into the redstone flux capacitor point. But for now, we're going to hook it into the resonant flux duct. And its mode is input, which is cool, I think, ish. Are you going to actually work here or no? Because you don't seem to be. Tablet, remind me on the modes. So energy crystal thingies. Network. There we go. The basics, linking, GUI, crystal types, energy IO. Input will make the crystal accept energy from the block it is attached to, and output will attempt to send energy to the attached block. Right. All right. So you are technically on input mode. Oh, right. This is running? No, it's not running at the moment. And no, it is running at the moment. So that should actually be filling up. In fact, are you running at the moment? You're not. You're supposed to be running. The redstone's on, but you're not doing the thing. And I know I broke the redstone a minute ago, but that should be okay. Weird. Let's try turning it on for a sec. Manually. And see if it starts doing the power thing. So yes, it's filling up with power. Beautiful. That's what I want to see. So these crystals have 4 million capacitor, right? So they can store 4 million RF. And what I'm going to do is basically have this guy here, and we're going to bind it so that this guy, and by the way, there's only 2 links that are available on a basic crystal. So he can only link to 2 other crystals. Cool. And we can tweak some of this HUD setup. I usually like my fade out to be full on this guy. And bring this down to that. That looks cool, right? A little bit better. So to do this, we want to shift right click, block position saved, and then right click on this guy, and that'll create an energy beam that will now transfer power over to this thing. And he'll fill up his internal buffer of 4 million. And this guy will then basically continue to receive power from the reactor, and this guy will hold power. Now I'm going to probably... So where's my beam? There, right? So what I'm going to do is have an energy crystal on every floor. So for this to work, we're going to want to bind you which, by the way, this thing can be hooked up to 8 different positions. So the number of links there is 8. Cool. And then we'll do this, and you'll see that that thing is now powering up to there. And this thing will be responsible for distributing power in, well, not this one. This one's only sending power up. Yeah. I might actually want to unbind you, because you're only sending power up. Yeah, I'm not going to want this guy in here. I want this to only send power up. So let's remove this bind. I'm going to pick this guy up. He retains his power, by the way. Content saved, so keep that in mind. So what I'll probably do is stick you there. Are you bound now? Or is that too far away? I didn't think there was a range limit on them, but that should... If you right-click it, there's a UI. There's a basic energy relay crystal. That should maybe be working, but it doesn't seem to be. Maybe... Being a Wyvern is tough sometimes. Yeah, you're totally linked. Why are you not... You know what? It might be because this is off and there's no actual power to send right now. Yeah, that's why. I'm going to turn him on for a minute. There we go. The power is sending. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So that will be just a direct beam of power that's going to go straight outside and be responsible for powering this thing up. So now let's go outside ourselves. And where's that corner piece that has the crystal in it? Right? So you'll come up to a point here. Technically, I should be building with these. Doesn't really matter for now. This is temporary. And what we're going to do is have this guy. Now, if you shift right click on him, he'll switch his IO mode from input to output, which we saw on the bottom right. And then we'll have this. Cool. So we can clear all this out now. And what I'm going to do is bind this guy to here. And here. So now we should have power going into our energy orb from our thing. How cool is that? Does that look neat or what? And what we'll see basically is just a cool energy laser going through our base from down in the basement where our big reactor is, boom, right up to there. How cool is that, dudes? That is awesome. That's what that is. That is super cool. And that's our big reactor doing its thing. Cool. So his internal buffer is clearing right now, which is good. And eventually we'll connect directly to this thing. And we might eventually instead have turbines, like I said. But this is just the basic in terms of getting the power filled up here. So let me clean up some of this underground looking area thing, and we'll be right back. Actually, we've hit wrapping up point, so we will come back next episode. I will clean up between episodes. So let me get your world download prepared. So this should be, at the very least, an orb that's receiving power. Now, next episode, we're going to come back, and we're going to use the power in the orb, and we're going to start distributing power to different places in the base and other kinds of cool stuff. But for now, Darryl20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I hope you're looking forward to a high-tech looking pyramid, because we're going to have some lasers going everywhere. All right, guys, take it easy.